Hear the world calling, but son, don't you listen. They're only trying to drag you back into prison. That's right.
Close enough. Hold on. Here, you come this way. Because
Mom
Mom wants going to say something.
Oh, right.
Dad, if
I'm
you
not
say
planning
something,
on it.
if Dad says something, have him shout from over there.
All right.
Are you recording?
Yep.
Oh my word! Of course you are.
Naturally, as one does. All right. Let's get official. Welcome back to What Have You.
I'm just taking
Becca's interrupting me already.
I'm taking a picture of Rachel's.
Oh, I'm Rachel Jankovic. This is my sister, Becca Merkel.
Hi, I'm too busy taking a picture.
Yeah, she wants to document this fine moment. And we have today our parents as forced guests on the show. Dad's working in the room, but Mom's here to join
He's
us.
present. He's
Nancy
just,
Wilson. That's
he's-
Dad's knee in the photo
he's-
that you took, so that's good.
okay, no, hold on. I just have to say that the photo I took is because Rachel says, "Let's get official," and balances the phone on top of a wine bottle. Which is
Nothing but the classiest acts from us. It's what we do. So
Anyway, sorry. So yes, we're in Mom and Dad's living room.
yeah, this is because we failed to connect it all the other times. In the last episode that we recorded, answering real thoughtfully some
I thought
questions.
it was good.
We did a great episode. Becca paused it inadvertently in the middle, and then so we ended up with only the last 17 minutes of the podcast, and
I
we could
paused
never
it.
connect the dots.
And then we resumed it, and somehow we didn't resume it. We started over, but it was a shame because it
Such
was.
is life.
We actually answered some really thoughtful questions people sent in,
Yeah.
and
I think at the end, what we saved was the final snort where we'd built up to being ridiculous about some things. So there was no, So, Mom, say something since you're
Well,
here.
I was just going to be an audience.
But we didn't want you here as just an audience.
Watching.
One of the things, though, Rach, that I know was on the last one that got deleted was you speaking of your duvet.
Oh, okay. So I'll tell you this story. The other day, I feel like there was more involved in this, in about the way my day was going. There was more about the nature
Was
of the
it
day.
symbolic?
Yeah, it was a symbolic moment. And I go back to make our bed, and we have a down comforter and then a quilt on top of the down comforter. And when I was pulling the comforter, like it had all kind of slid off the end of the bed. So when I was pulling it up, there was a little extra weight on it from the quilt, but nothing that warranted this. I go to yank the down comforter up and just ripped like a 6-inch square out of the down comforter, and just feathers fly in my face. And it was like, I think I may have bonked myself in the face with my fist. Either that or I just did in surprise by what happened, because it's just this explosion of feathers. And then Chloe said, "You have a feather in your eyebrow." And so I stood there over the duvet, and when it was a sort of a stunner. And so then I had to go to Bed Bath & Beyond that day. And when I pulled up, it was after school, so I was like, "Kids, stay in the car. I'm going to just run in and buy a new comforter for us." And I said, "I'm just running in Bed Bath & Beyond." And Shadrach says, "What? I've never been to the bathroom beyond." and then Moses is like, "I've never been. We have to go." I was like, "No, you don't. You do not need to go to the bathroom
But you
beyond."
repurposed it. You repurposed your old down comforter.
What into?
Into a dog bed.
Wow.
It sort of just all came together in that moment for me. You know that fabric that you had printed in that velvet that you
I
hated?
saw your dog bed, and it was much cuter.
I kind of thought the fabric was much cuter once I'd already put it on the dog bed. I was like, dang, that's actually pretty cute. Would have made good throw pillows, but unfortunately I've made a dog bed already.
It's a down.
Yeah, but I just folded up. I carefully folded up the comforter and sewed it inside a dog bed.
Happy on
I designed the fabric as an upholstery fabric for a weird little chair that I have, and the
Somehow
minute
Rachel ended
I
up-
opened that package, I was like, I hate that. And
Yeah, she
so
did not.
it has really bad. And so
It does have some like grayish undertones in the background.
it's not grayish. It's like a weird
Yellow.
chemical color.
Yeah, it's just something.
I thought it was white, and it came, and it was very not white.
Well, Derby the dog.
But my dog is, and our dog is having the life right now that I think is just a spiritual metaphor for everything. For everything.
She's wearing a
She got her armpit punctured somehow. We're not sure how. She was running around out on our property, and then we didn't know. We thought she just strained a muscle or something. She was walking kind of funny.
Porcupine or
No, it's like it looks like if you just stab someone with a screwdriver or something. Like she just has like a puncture wound.
Whoa.
And but I think she treated herself to an armpit infection with licking it. And so that was sad. So when we realized what was happening, we put her, we were trying to figure out how to keep her from licking it because it was obvious she was making things worse with that, but she would not quit. And so after thinking about how could we bandage a dog's armpit, which we cannot do, I was like, well, let's just put a shirt on her tonight. But then she spent the entire day lying on her bed in this t-shirt looking depressed, and she's a really high energy dog, so when
but
she
you
just
have it
like
twisted up with a little ponytail holder.
so we have her in this t-shirt.
Puzzle in the lion suit.
It's really funny though because
with a handkerchief around
yeah,
her
so
neck.
then we were like, well, we'll see if it's better in the morning. Well, in the morning, she's still just her ears back, her
baby.
tail between her legs, just this sad muffin dog. And her armpit still didn't look super awesome, so we got her an appointment at the vet. And so I take her to the vet. But when I go to take her to the vet, she has now spent like almost 2 days lying still in total sorrow in a t-shirt. And I take the t-shirt off to take her to the vet. And oh man, boy was she into it. Just trotting around and like a woohoo, like so happy with everything. Goes to the vet, loves the vet, has a great time. The vet says, great job with the t-shirt. Put her back in a t-shirt when you get her home. So now she's on antibiotics, and I put another shirt on her, and immediately her ears go back and her tail goes between her legs, and she lays around or stands staring at me with just this
So
evil
what is the
face.
spiritual lesson?
Well, it's that when there's something that's not quite working for you in your life, like it's just a thing that she does not care for, but it is not restricting her movement. It's like nothing's technically wrong here. You're just as fine as you are without it. And she just freezes in these positions of sorrow and stares at me.
Well, she's just embarrassed.
She's shamed.
That's what it is.
She is shamed.
She's
no, but
embarrassed.
you know when you're like, I don't like
dog
this.
wants
No.
to be seen.
No,
in
and,
a
well,
t-shirt.
but she's been having a lot of school spirit with the fight night shirts.
She's got her little front legs in the
And
sleeves.
then I'm embarrassed too because when people come to the door, and she comes, and I have to say she has a wound. I do not put my dog in t-shirts. And now she has a bandana from the vet because whenever they go to the vet, they come away with the bandana. So she looks just super accessorized.
Maybe some sneakers.
And I did say to the vet, because the vet tech came in and she was like, so do you have your dog on any supplements? And when Luke was in there one time before, and they gave him the tip that we could probably be brushing her teeth more often, and he was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna give you the flat face about that. And when I took her this time, they were like, so what supplements are you doing? It was like kind of like, what regime do I have my dog on?
A daily milkshake.
And I say, we have 7 kids, so she's really a dog. she's living a dog's life, and we just brought her in because of the armpit problem.
Okay, but I have been noticing, and maybe this is just around Moscow, but a lot more car stickers
Yeah.
that say things like, fur babies on board.
Yeah.
Or mom
And
of
I just saw
three
one today that
dogs. Or
said, dog is my co-pilot. But I was remembering, wasn't that a horrible God is my co-pilot? Which I forgot that had existed. But how bad is that one?
Yeah.
yeah, but I just mean the whole I'm a mother of dogs
Well,
is
I
a real
read
common one now.
a while ago now, a couple of years ago, that Seattle had more dogs than
Than
children.
children.
Yeah.
When you're in Seattle, you'll drive by places that are like dog birthday party.
Yeah.
Palaces.
They have
I was like, what you
restaurants
need, it's
have
like what
dog
you guys
menus.
need is some
Oh.
babies to put things into
I know,
into
it's like
perspective.
a human need to love
Yeah.
something and have a loyal, like a horse.
This is
or
the
a
right
dog,
time to
but
mention
a
that
horse is
there's an
harder.
absurd amount of American dogs that are on antidepressants.
Oh yeah.
And that
But
is
they're
because
stuck at
people
home.
want the companion, but they are not. And Luke's comment is, isn't that so much better than that many children on medications that, you know.
Although, when we were in England, that is a country that does not do bumper stickers the way we do.
True. They do not.
We, as
We never
Americans,
saw one.
I don't understand. Americans see something they find to be mildly witty. So
Stick
they
it.
put it on their t-shirt or their car. And I speak as a person who has some children with some witty t-shirts that I
Oh
bought
yeah,
for
the
them.
t-shirts make.
So-
Have you seen the ones that?
I got Judah one for Christmas that was surely not everybody was kung fu fighting.
There was one. Luke has a T-shirt that says Anthony Rizzo is a great human being or a magnificent human being. One of the Cubs players. It's just
Anyway.
Why? Why would we
Okay,
feel
but
But
compelled?
the English bumper sticker, the only one we ever saw, was a dog is not just for Christmas. So they
little
apparently
protest.
they feel strongly
Well,
about
I
that.
should tell you and remind you, because you remember this, for my birthday, when Nate was in high school, he bought me a t-shirt, a Nike t-shirt.
I
and on
remember
the
this.
back
Oh, my word.
it said, I am Tiger Woods. And it had a picture of Tiger Woods.
That is such
And-
a perfect picture of
Yeah.
when your teenage son buys you
Yeah.
something.
Right. And I remember, I mostly wore it gardening.
I remember
One
you wearing
time,
it, yeah.
I had to run to Safeway. I had that thing on, and this man goes, "So you a golfer?" I said, "No, I'm not."
You're like, no, I'm just the mother of a teenage son who misfired.
But he also bought me a Nike ball cap, which I still wear gardening.
I think he would
love
probably still
I
stand
love it.
by that.
I
Tiger
kind
Woods,
of
that's
wish
funny
I
shirt.
still had
Except
that
for
thing,
Tiger
but-
Woods went down in infamy after that.
Yeah,
didn't
but he was. That was way before then.
He was still not. So,
So-
today, Lena took to school she wore one of Michael Jordan's warm-up jackets to
she
school.
She did.
I forgot to ask her what her classmates thought of that
It
one.
must have been a bit like
Big.
big
You're
and
gonna
loose.
have to maybe give some background
So
there.
through family connections, Luke's uncle or cousin, or they have a cleaning business in Chicago, and they cleaned Michael Jordan's house after he moved out, and he apparently told them that they could take whatever, they just couldn't sell it, like the stuff that he left.
Yeah.
But Luke and Mike are both large, but
When you
this
say
family.
Mike, you
Mike
don't
is
mean
my
Michael
brother.
Jordan.
My brother-in-law. No, not Michael Jordan. I don't call him Mike. We're not that close. Just because
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah. But Luke is the same height as Michael Jordan, and the family that were the cleaners are not in the league of 6'6" people. So I think they kept some cool items, but the trash bag of Michael Jordan's actual hand-me-downs came to us. And there are a bunch of like really bonzo warm-up jackets in there. Like this one has all these polka dots everywhere and stuff. It's very funny. But it does say on the tag, it has like a little tape thing that says Michael Jordan, and in the tag on the inside it's like Nike customer #1. Like it's clearly his warm, and one sweatshirt still has food stains on it that we have. It's like, man, now I have that, and we'll just treasure that.
Why did she wear it to school?
I think because it just surfaced in our house, and she thought it would be funny to take it to school.
I just found it hilarious how massive they are because
They're
even though
enormous.
Luke is really big, they were still huge on him.
Well, the weirder part was Michael Jordan's pants.
Oh my
So
word.
because Jordan goes for a high-rise look, and I went and Googled Michael Jordan's outfits after we got these to be like, what explanation is there for this? Because there's a pair of warm-up pants that you would think just like a sweatpant on someone the same height would look
Normal.
loosely like a normal sweatpant, but nothing like it. And so Luke, I have a picture. I'll drum that up somewhere.
I
Luke
don't
pulled
think
the
he
warm up
maybe-
pants up over his t-shirt, and then he likes to say, "I'm the one who wears Michael Jordan's pants in his family." So super flattered by those.
So today, though, she got Moses some basketball shorts.
Oh, not today, the other day. And this is funny because this was a sacrifice of mothering. I was at Marshall's and I saw a bunch of little Nike mesh basketball shorts in
The
Moses'
long
size.
ones, like knee length.
Yeah, well, yeah, but they're
Yeah.
but I don't care for little boys it's not my favorite garment for little boys, the mesh short situation, but I bought them because I felt that it would be the thing that would
Yeah.
be it. And it's true. Moses has not
Taken
departed
off.
from the Nike mesh shorts since I bought them. And he runs around and hits like defensive stance and says his shorts are fast. And he is just like, I am so capable in these shorts. So that was good.
Okay,
I
have a suggestion if you're running out of things to say.
Well,
we should keep you on a little headset for the times we run out. What is your suggestion?
What's next week?
Grace Agenda. Yeah, we should talk about Grace Agenda.
should.
Do it. That's what I was
it's
thinking.
coming fast upon us.
Yeah, so that's our local conference is put on by our church every year. This year's theme is Keep Your Kids, and we do a pre-conference for the women on the Friday. So this is not this weekend, but next weekend. Week out. It's a week from
Which
tomorrow.
is, did we any
Friday.
of us know the date?
5th.
We're just
5th and
speaking-
6th is the Grace Agenda. And so we're...
Yeah, you're right. 5th
Yeah.
and 6th.
And so that's coming, and that will be really fun. I think we're all talking about mothering. The conference is always free. It's every year. If you can't come this year, come some other year. Come visit lovely Idaho.
Yeah,
It is
and
lovely,
the
Idaho,
ladies
too.
pre-conference, we have a little lunch.
Yes, and we have a Bible reading challenge party Saturday night, like to meet people
And a bunch
in
of
real
people
life.
are coming from
Yeah, from
around
the Bible
country,
reading challenge.
so-
It's going to be
which
fun.
is-
So I had to say, though, let's see, how much time have we spent? Okay, good. We're fine. So I actually had a topic I thought we should talk about. And Grace Agenda, the pre-conference is all on mothering this year.
And that's for the women, and the men have one for pastors.
Right.
And it's on.
Infant baptism.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
We dialed that in there for answered the question.
He's absorbed doing
He's
other
doing
work.
his other work. He is long since, isn't it our cousin's husband who says that her talking helps him to concentrate on his reading?
That's not our cousin's husband. That's C.S. Lewis. And
C.S.
That Hideous
Lewis said
Strength.
that, and
He
your dad
says
always
husbands
said,
Well, our
husbands were
cousin,
made to be talked to.
believes this.
No, but
that
I
it's
used
Daniel
to-
who says it, right? Daniel
Well,
Newman, or I just saw
it's
Brooke
that
Howard.
hideous
Yeah,
strength.
right.
Yeah,
I'm
husbands
remembering
Husbands are
that
made
now.
to be talked to. It helps to concentrate
That's
their
right.
minds on what they're
Okay,
reading.
so
Like the
yes,
sound of
okay,
a word.
so Daniel is quoting Lewis.
Right.
then,
Yeah.
because really, over the years, you know, your dad would sit down to read in the evening, and I'd interrupt him often. And he never ever minded, and always told me it was fine. And you kids would interrupt him whenever
Yeah.
you wanted.
Such as
And he
right
would
now.
always, he would always just pause whatever he's doing and whatever.
The sound effect of going to bed as a child, though, Dad has read with light blue highlighters for
Yes.
our whole life, and I remember
That's how
lying.
you'll know if it's an authentic Doug Wilson book at a yard
Yeah,
sale.
you'll have
If it
blue
has
highlighter,
blue.
only blue.
Only
That's the only
blue.
one. But I would hear he has the technique of popping the lid off in his mouth, like he pops it off with his whatever. But that sound, like laying in bed, and I would hear that like pop, and then the highlighter on the book, and then snap back on. That's like the sound of that restless.
Reminds you
And then
of your
every once in a
childhood.
while, I remember him
Along
saying,
with-
"Hey, put a sock in it." or hold your
I
horses.
have to add to the sound effects there, though.
Yeah.
is the ticking of that clock.
Yeah,
that's
that
on
was
the
a
wall.
big, yeah, that's true.
Granddad's
Granddad's that little clock.
The little German clock.
Yeah.
Tick, tick.
So what I was going to say we should talk
Yeah,
about, though,
yeah.
and this is because it's come up multiple times lately for me that women have reached out to talk about it or called me or needed help with this, and it has just been on my mind, that we're out of the really little kid phase, but that is just a really hard phase of mothering when you have a bevy of children that are all little. And I was thinking, because I have been talking to people lately about this, I thought we've eased off of talking about it because it's not the thing we're doing all the time. But like your big takeaway, the big things that you would say to be encouraging to someone who's really blindingly in the trenches right now, what would you say, Mom? Do you have something?
Oh, my
to think
word.
of?
Okay, what would I say? Bless your heart. But
Amen about that.
I would say the same things that you would say, which is it's well worth it. I mean, look what happens. It's not going to last forever. They're growing up so fast. I remember when I would put you in the backpack because I was trying to fix dinner.
Just
And-
look at your child in the backpack and think any minute they might be going rogue on a podcast.
I know. Yeah. That's right.
That might happen.
And just, trying to get things done and just being thankful and enjoying it. I mean, it was really a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was so much fun. You all were such a good time, always.
Yeah.
And hilarious.
Yeah, I remember
So
like
don't
one thing.
give up and keep your sense of humor, and just it will go. This too will pass. It's gonna.
Yeah, like the hard parts will pass. I had I always think of the first time I was in labor, that you think, if you're looking at the clock and doing the math on, like, that's all the progress that we've made in this hour where I almost died. Like,
Yeah, that's
we
right.
did not make any progress in this whole hour. And
Right.
if we keep up at this rate, sometime next Thursday, it might be time to push, where nothing is happening. This is just miserable. And I think that the reality is that it doesn't, the reason I bring that up with toddlers and with babies is you can really be thinking this is going to be so many years of this when you're in a moment that
I know.
feels so hard. And
Right.
but that the reality is even within that, just keeping your head down and working hard and being cheerful, God gives you footholds and
Right.
gives you second wins
does.
and gives you moments of,
But don't forget how much fun it is.
oh yeah,
And there's
totally.
nothing more wonderful than little people. And that these are your favorite people in the whole world.
And really hilarious little people. And I
They're
do feel
so
like
funny.
you know that you've lost your way and your perspective and your sanctification when you find yourself breaking out sarcasm at the 4-year-old or whatever.
right,
you know
right.
what I mean? Like,
So you thought that would be a good idea, did you?
Yeah.
That was the one
And
that I
so-
told you. The moment where I pulled myself up short with the
Right,
like,
yeah.
am I really about to tell these children that they can never have curtains again?
I remember that.
You are disqualified from a life with curtains.
But that's the thing is some of the roughest moments are now the funniest
Funniest.
stories
Oh, I
in
know.
the whole world.
Yeah.
they are. But I just mean that, like, when you really lose perspective is when you find yourself being like, really stinky at a small toddler.
I was going to say another thing that I have really found is, like, one of my tips for new moms is always make sure right when you're entering life, like, I mean, with your more than your first child, but you have a new baby and there's a toddler and a new baby. Make sure the toddler knows right off the bat that you will put the baby down and come get them. Like, communicate
yeah. Oh,
clearly right away that this is not now a safe zone for you to do anything you want to, while I just sort of object to you from afar.
Right.
Where it's like, don't do that. Stop being rude. Stop doing that to your sister.
Basically-
Don't do that. But never
Yeah.
coming and
I will
Kids
put the
know
baby
that
down.
you're like, don't
Yeah.
make me get up off this couch.
they find the seam
Yeah.
real fast.
Yeah.
Like real fast.
Yeah.
And I can remember bringing when I would be nursing the twins, which, let's be real, that was absurd. And when in that situation where I felt like I was getting stuck inside a basket of puppies. It was like, because that nursing pillow was like the size, this huge nursing pillow, and then the two toddlers on the other. It seemed like a world away, misbehaving.
Not the toddler's nursing.
no, the twins were nursing, but the toddlers were messing around, being bad,
Right.
beyond all these infants that needed care. And I can remember bringing the girls, the big girls, over to apologize to the screaming infants for having interrupted their lunch. Like, I was like, and you will come say that you were sorry to the babies, because there would be these two red-faced, flipped-out infants on the couch. It was not a chill feeling. That was not chill. And I remember thinking that I had to consciously turn off in my head. I had to think, I'm not going to be wound up by the sound of a baby crying right now.
Right.
Like, I'm going to not let that escalate my mood with the toddlers, because it can. You can start to feel like,
No, you can be very unfair.
don't you know what you're doing to me? And anyways.
And they don't, because they're two.
No, they're like, why would I know that? I don't, nobody tells me anything.
And in all my growing up, I don't remember ever hearing my mom or dad complain about me. Ever.
Yeah, that's
I
big.
mean, I know I got in Dutch, as my mom would say, and I got spanked with a hairbrush and so forth. But I never remember
With a hairbrush.
With a hairbrush.
Yeah.
But I don't remember them ever complaining about the kids.
That's big. That's
Yeah.
a thing people should
They
cease,
just thought we were so much fun.
cease
They
immediately.
Yeah.
took us places. They taught us good manners. They would take us out to dinner and get us all dressed up, and we would go and we would do,
That's fun.
That
and-
is fun. That's very
We
cool.
had
Yeah.
with one time I was in the line at Starbucks with the stroller and the two, I was like a lot of children I had with me, and the man in front of me was like turned around to be like, oh my word, like, you are just out of your mind, like, I can't even deal with one, and look at you with 5 or 4, however many it was. And he just had a lot to say about the grievances in his life with his one child. And then he turned around and one of the kids looked at me and said, well, he was weird. And it's like, well, did you think they didn't have ears? I mean, like, they're all just there standing watching like, that guy's got problems. But I think how worse it would be if they were standing there listening to me say, oh, I know. Like, this is exhausting
Well, I
and
always
terrible.
feel
I haven't
like-
slept since 1993.
Right,
Like,
but to hear a mother complain about her children,
Yeah.
especially when they're present, but even when they're
Yeah.
not, it's just like, are you serious?
Really
I mean,
horrid.
These are your most precious people on the planet, and you're going to talk about them like that? It's like,
that's how you're going to make them not your most precious people on the
well,
planet.
true.
It's
That's
on
true.
the fast track to nobody getting along.
Right.
But I do think there's a lot to be said for just recognizing that it's not going to be easy, especially if you have your kids close together. You have those phases
Sure.
where things are
And
intense.
you have a bunch of
and
them.
is going to be ridiculous. And I love that meme that says it's like trying to brush your teeth while you're eating Oreos. Because that is the sensation you get sometimes. Like, are we making progress? I don't think I'm making progress with anything. I think I'm just making a worse mess. Or, the days where you feel like you're connecting with no one. You're like, they didn't understand. They don't know what you're talking about. Nobody gets it. Nobody had fun. We're cooped up. We're whatever. Just, I think it's kind of that, just hang on and keep at it. And there will be those, that second wind that day where the sun is shining. You have those
all
moments.
of a sudden they don't need the high chair anymore, and pretty soon they're potty trained themselves, and then they're contributing
Yeah.
and working and just
I would just say,
and hilarious.
it's also like labor when you think this has been done so many times before. You can do it, and you can do it cheerfully, and you can do it well. You don't
But it's
have
also
to.
like labor in that you're right. If you look at the clock and from 9 to 9:30 can seem like an eternity. But also if you think about by dinner tonight, I will be done with this.
Yes, and something I say in
And that's not a long time.
something I say in Loving the Little Years, I think way back then was my 20-minute rule, that when I had a clock in my kitchen that I could see from all around, and when everything was being really, really, really bad, like like the levels of bad that you're like, we can't do this anymore. This has to stop. We cannot be expected to live like this. When that moment was happening, I would look at the clock and say like what's happening in 20 minutes, and we're getting phone calls. In 20 minutes, I would give myself permission to cry at that point. I would be like, what I'll do is just work for 20 minutes. And if I still feel like I'm going to cry in 20 minutes, I'll just go for it. I'll just do it. That'll be fine. And I don't remember ever actually crying 20 minutes later, because the reality is in 20 minutes, you can make yourself a cup of coffee. You can change the diaper. You can discipline the bad person.
You can take 3 deep breaths
you can
on the
clean
front
up,
porch.
You can clean up the accident. You can eat a cheese stick, and then maybe get people into bed. And then you sit down and you think, that wasn't so bad. But if you cried 20 minutes ago, you would have shot your whole chance to get through the problem.
That's very true.
You know the old hourglasses with the sand?
Yeah.
The Puritans, because that was their reference, like even for sermons.
Oh, right.
The pastor had one, but they would reference the hourglass with your life.
Yeah.
And the sand is running
Slipping through. Yeah.
And there's more now in the bottom than at the top, you know, and just that it's going quickly. And to keep your perspective.
Well, and I was thinking about that the other day, because there's the people who spend all their time in the world running around nitpicking at what other people are doing wrong, you know, like the sort of person who shows up at city council meetings to tell everyone about all of the stop signs that have bushes covering them, you know, or whatever. Like, just the kind of person that runs around with a little, you know, pink slip to hand to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like, you know, if I could give parking tickets, I would be
like,
giving
it's a
parking
person
tickets.
who's outraged at how other people are putting their garbage out. Or
the kind of
whatever.
people that have little notes that they leave on other people's windshields.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's sort of amazing, because you think, well, you don't have that much time here. And to spend it that way,
I know.
it's really something else.
But that is 100% true, because I think that the time, I've said this before, but it's not that time is going fast. It's that there is hardly any time at all. Like, there just is not. And I think you start to realize, and referencing this back to when you have really little kids, it does feel like you're going to live a whole lifetime with really little kids. But it isn't like that. It's like all of a sudden, and I think there's something about when I look at photos, you know, like your Facebook memory, that's like a year ago, and all my kids look like babies a year ago to me. Yep. But you have this awareness that today will feel like that. Yeah. Like, very soon, looking back on pictures of today will feel like, oh my goodness, look at them. They were so sweet and little when that happened.
This verse in Psalm 90, so teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom.
Amen.
Yeah, for sure.
And Ecclesiastes has that someone was just telling us, that theme of Ecclesiastes being death, the theme being living with a mind that your death is coming. You know, like living with an awareness that this is a quick life. Yep. And that living in that wisdom of knowing that really changes your perspective in all kinds of places.
And having just quickly read Ecclesiastes for the Bible Reading Challenge, I noted it's just there's so many wonderful verses in here. But fear God, keep his commandments, for this is man's all, for God will bring every work into judgment. True, yes. But then earlier it has that wonderful, so I commend enjoyment, because a man has nothing better under the sun than to eat, drink, and be merry, for this will remain with him in his labor all the days of his life, which God gives him under the sun. It's like, enjoy your life, walk prudently, back in chapter 5, but just rejoice and receive your heritage, rejoice in your labor. This is the gift of God.
Yeah. You know, and so much about your awareness that you're living this, that this is fleeting and this is quick and we have no time. So much of the joy you can have in less than perfect moments is in recognizing the beauty of how fleeting it really is.
Right. And as from my perspective now, when you tell stories of things you remember, and I look back and think, oh my goodness, thank you, Lord, that I said that then. And that she remembers that and not one of the dorky things I said that I had to apologize for. But that was a gift from God right there.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And to hear your perspective on your childhood
Yeah.
as an adult now, and then the way I remember those same stories, it's like, woo, that happened so fast.
It
Yeah.
does.
And it's so much better now. And so there's that other element of motherhood where it's like, oh, they're just so cute. I want to freeze them. You've heard people say,
Yeah.
I want to freeze them right now. But it just gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
Your kids
Yeah.
are teenagers and
No, it's a totally-
in their 20s.
Yep.
And yours are starting to, you have,
Yeah.
You got the spread.
It's a very
better
different
and
phase,
better.
and it's really fun.
and they are
Very
so
different.
interesting.
Yeah.
They're so interesting and funny.
Yep.
And they
I'm
contribute
sure
so
I've
much.
said this on here. I know I've written about it. I feel like I have to disclaim that when I know I've said this before, but here I am saying it again. Do you remember the DR field and brush mower, the large scale self-powered mower
on
that
our 3 acres.
Yes, but it had these big wheels and it drove itself around.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you turn this thing on and it just takes off.
Well,
I
you
mean,
never got to drive it.
oh yeah, I
you?
did.
You
But
did.
Nate did it a lot more than I. But
Yeah,
you walked
it was a
behind it.
powerful
But it was just like
machine.
roaring through the brush.
Oh, yeah.
And it can take out like 3-inch saplings and
Oh,
stuff.
I know, and it did.
I
it
think
took out
of the-
many a sapling.
Yeah, and I think of this thing.
that we had so
When I-
tenderly planted. Whoops, there went another one.
But that is exactly what I feel like parenting is like.
Yeah.
Is that you're holding on to the handle of something,
Right.
frantically trying to keep up with it and be faithful. Like you feel
Yeah.
like God just said,
Zoom.
why don't you mow this field? And so you're holding on to it, but he was like, nobody told me it was going to be moving this fast. Nobody told me
But
I couldn't
that's
slow it
good.
down.
See,
no,
I-
but in my before having kids, maybe in my more naive past,
Yeah.
I think I thought we would be way more thoughtful,
Yeah.
strategic. You assume you're going to have time for the big long talks instead of. Yeah, I just mean that from my vantage point now, what it feels like is we have been breathlessly running behind this thing. Just being like, oh Lord, please help this to shake out okay somehow,
Right, yeah.
and you're like, shoot, mowed over another sapling, there went that, and you're thinking, God called me to we think we're here to plant a beautiful garden, but somehow the actual work we're doing feels more like accidentally mowing over the orchard and zooming off into a ditch and just a panic attack of whatever. But we've also are far enough into our parenting journey to be able to look over your shoulder and see this beautiful garden coming up where God is doing it. Like where
Right.
you think that was not because we nailed it on that.
No.
That is because
No.
God accomplishes
God is
what
doing
he
it.
will
Right.
accomplish in our efforts to be obedient, and we just hold on and we try and we love God and we pray and we just keep at it. But when we have those vantage points, it's not because we made a great plan and executed it beautifully. It's because God is really faithful and
Yeah.
kind and merciful and doing something much bigger than we could do.
Well, and I do think, I can't remember the context of this, but in one of my classes this week, we were talking about, I don't know, marriage. And one of the kids brought up a statistic that but marriages last longer if you're older when you get married or something like this. And I was like, you cannot base any plans on that.
On a
Because
statistic,
I was like, you cannot make the perfect business plan now that's going to guarantee that outcome. It's just purely from being faithful every single day and confessing
Right.
your sins and walking with God and doing the thing you're supposed to do right now. That's what makes marriages last. It's not that you did it at the right time and
Yeah.
you
Right.
had
No.
saved the right amount of
well,
money.
I'd already
Oh, yeah.
traveled, so I was able to
Yeah.
settle
Oh,
down.
yeah.
So
Or
having the whole business
Right.
plan laid out of how you're going to approach it in the future, or parenting, this is the kind of parents that we're going to be, and this is what we're going to make sure we do, and these are the experiences the children are going to have, and all of those things absolutely doesn't guarantee any outcome. It's just being obedient every day and
Totally.
confessing your sins and being
Right.
faithful and doing the thing that's right in
And
front
see,
of you.
again, from my perspective, not only thinking about my 3 kids, boom, 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 and making it to the finish line, getting you all successfully married. It's 17 grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And seeing them they're going to go on and have families. And so
Yeah.
let me read you this verse in 2 Corinthians 9, verse 10. And think of it in terms of planting, the seed with your children and all this. Now may he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food supply and multiply the seed you have sown and increase the fruits of your righteousness, while you are enriched in everything for all liberality, which causes thanksgiving through us to God. It's just this beautiful picture. He's supplying all this seed for you. You're sowing. He's increasing the fruits of righteousness. It's all of grace. And you are so enriched, you're giving it all away, the liberality, giving yourself to your kids, giving yourself to your future grandkids, because you're sowing seeds right now that are going to be the grandkids.
Yeah.
The 49 grandkids for Rachel, and you're only going to have 35.
Oh, dang.
If everyone really achieves for us. I think the whole concept is so beautiful that it's God uses our faithfulness, but we aren't using our faithfulness to accomplish our ends.
Right. He's doing
we
it.
offer our faithfulness to God, and God accomplishes great things.
No, I
with
think
it.
most of the time what we're doing is pouring a lot of water on the altar.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that the truth? And the God continues to light the altar up, even though we are bringing so much to it.
He's the one who's increasing the fruits of our righteousness. As we aren't.
Oh no, totally.
And so child rearing is a good work, and it's work, and it's good, and it's one of the good works we're called to do. And we don't have to go out trying to volunteer someplace to do some good works when we have children we're bringing up. That is an essential good work. Right there.
And I think just in what we call the sweaty eyeball phase of parenting, so stressful even your eyeballs are sweating, we fondly remember it that way. That is something that we look back on now, and what we're seeing is these four, it was our first four who were so close together, who are now 11, almost 13 and 14.
They're just their own
and they're
person.
just so
They're just
interesting and fun and like
talented.
good company, like nice
good.
people to hang out with. And
Yes.
you think it's funny because that feels like yesterday. That these people were so hard to,
and they transition into being your best friends.
Yeah.
it's just
And
a
your
really
favorite
sweet
people.
thing, and it's so sweet to see that God working in their lives in a way that is really independent from us, and it's just a wonderful thing to see. It's like this is a different gift.
Yesterday I was at the grocery store and I saw one of the young moms in our church with her first little baby, this absolutely precious little pixie baby girl, sitting in the grocery cart for the first or second time.
Oh, that's big.
And it was so cute, and she's just beaming.
Yeah,
And
feeling
she's
big about her
just
life.
the size of a pea. I mean, tiny. and I just saw that, and I just thought of her future. Like, this is like the beginning of this wonderful thing that's happening, and we just see this little sparkly little baby girl and this beaming, proud mother who's just
So
glowing.
sweet.
And it's so beautiful, and it's only going to get better and richer and a lot more work and crazier and all the rest. But what a cute beginning.
But I think that's the
beginning.
thing is that sometimes you'll see these snarky things about not wanting to receive that kind of input, like this is going so fast, or this is, it's like, stop telling me this is a miserable day and I don't want your pithy remarks about it, like that kind that kind of thing. But in that context, I think of Hebrews about let us run with endurance a race that is before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus. But when he talks about surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, and we know that he's talking there about saints that have gone before us, but in a way, there are earthly women who have gone before you who are still here, who are the cloud of witnesses, saying they're kind of that part where they're saying, no, keep at it, this goes so fast. And that's something that Christians should embrace, those other perspectives on what you're doing instead of resisting it. Like, well, if you're not also mad at the world today because of your toddlers, I don't want to talk to you.
There's just a lot of people being mad at the world. I saw somebody the other day having a big snort festival about she was pregnant and someone had said how she looked like she was just about ready, you know.
How dare they?
And and all of her friends came galloping in to be like, that is shameful. That is shameful. How dare they say that to you? You look beautiful. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise.
know-
And it's like, how to ruin everything in your life is to be
Nitpicky like
looking
that.
at all of your friends.
Okay.
And this was in the context, I believe, of someone wanting to like host a baby shower or something like that, where it was just like this
Please, like
real
right now.
insult that they brought to me. And it's like there's a lot of people who are just looking for reasons to get aggrieved at the world.
Well, you all know how Grandpa is in his sense of humor.
I do remember.
Yeah, you do remember. And
Uh-huh.
we're living with him right now. So, but you're getting to see 4 generations with your own eyes.
Yeah.
You know? And so am I. I'm waiting for 5. But,
Tell my kids to hustle.
but I think that he
Or I
is
won't.
so funny.
Yeah.
And he could make fun of you all sometimes, and I could get a little defensive. But in a sense, it was good for you in
Yeah.
a weird kind of way. I don't know if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
his Nebraska humor. I don't know what it is.
I remember when Grandpa told me that he couldn't believe, speaking of people who are pregnant, I had a black and
Oh,
white
yeah.
horizontally striped.
Yes.
Of course, now that I mention it, it is making me laugh also.
Right.
A black and white horizontally striped maternity shirt. So you know
Right.
that blessed the physique,
Right.
having that. But I remember him saying like, why are you wearing that shirt at such a
Don't
time?
you know?
And the question being sort of like, did no one ever tell you that will not? But I have to say, I'm sorry, that is just sidetracking me into
Yeah.
unflattering maternity.
No, but I'm
photos.
just saying the other night, one of his old friends came to see him. And his old friend is quite a bit younger than he is.
Yeah.
And he told his old friend, he goes, "You walk like an old man." and I thought, there's this, men sometimes just insult each other.
Yeah.
And here's Jim in a wheelchair making fun of a guy who's old. And I just thought, but there's something good about being able to take a little bit of.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
It's just affectionate.
I know when I was huge with the twins, people would try to go the other direction. We all knew I was huge. I was huge. And people would say like, oh, I was this size in the first trimester with my first. And I remember just starting to feel like, liar. Like,
Well,
nobody was this size.
Also, let's not pretend that if someone comments on how big you are when you're pregnant, even if they do it in maybe not the most tactful way, it's not body shaming. So let's not
Oh, my
pretend
word,
like
no.
that's body
I
shaming.
actually felt like when people would just say, oh my word, you're huge. I actually felt like, right?
I felt kind of vindicated.
Am I right? Because I thought so too. Like, what I saw when I saw this was huge. But of course, I know I have a weird. My husband said when we were in the ultrasound and found out we were having twins, my husband said, "You are going to have stretch marks on your forearms after this." And I
Just what you needed.
well, we both, I was laughing about it. It's funny, but I was huge. But speaking of flattering photos, I don't know that it could have helped if anyone told me at the time. But there were very few maternity shirts that would accommodate me.
Oh, honey, I do remember.
Very few. We were really up against the market with the twins on maternity shirts. And so there were some, it was like a Gap maternity, black, cabled turtleneck sweater. And I wore it.
That sounds so claustrophobic, just I can't even stand
Well, they were born in
that
November.
even sounds.
Yeah, I
They
was
were
gonna
born
say,
at the end of
November.
November. So
Yeah,
it
it was
was
cold.
towards the end. It was cold.
Okay.
And it was like a cotton turtle. It was like knit,
It was
like a
all right.
sweater. It was not fuzzy or anything. It was just a cotton.
Yeah.
But it was
But,
one of the few things that
however,
really.
comma.
Well, there is a picture of me sitting on Mom's couch.
Oh, I
with
wept when I
the
saw that.
hugest belly, and then it looks like just a floating head sitting on
Yes.
top of this enormous belly because it was a black turtleneck. So all you really could see is like my chin and my hair and a huge. I look like a volcano or something.
I do
It is
remember
like
that
the most
picture.
enormous belly. It was just like, oh
they were big
My word.
people. They were not little.
They were born at 38 weeks, and they were both they're 7'2" and 7'9", so
Yeah.
they were
full size.
There was a lot of
Chillin'.
There was a lot of baby in there, and I
There
can
was.
remember, that times when you're big pregnant, when you have a contraction and one side of your stomach like sucks in, you can like actually really see where the baby is, like you really can see the baby body. I remember that happening with the twins when I would have a crazy contraction and one whole side of my belly would cave in, and it was like Titus was just in the middle and Chloe was like off on my hip
wow.
practically. Like it was not at all where you think, what are you doing over there? Why are you not more centralized? It would just be like, and then you look you have a huge belly that's way off kilter. Like it's just, it's like, we misfired. We don't know where we put these babies anymore. Anyways,
funny.
but now they're 11.
God is good.
Yeah, he is. Is it time
should
for
have
us
a
to wrap
tip,
it up
yeah.
with a tip?
Yeah.
All right. You have a tip, Mom? Do you always think about our tip shortage? And
I do, but you don't want to hear it.
Yes, we
you
do.
don't want to
Give
hear
me a
the
tip.
tip?
Give us a
Doug
tip
and
we
I
don't
are
wanna
in
hear.
elder care now, taking care of.
Oh. Okay, so maybe we don't need
Yeah,
to hear
let's
Mom's
skip that
commode
one.
tip.
So
Maybe.
let's see if I have another one. I bet I have another one, but you go first, and I'll think of one.
You have one this week, Beck?
Why do you have to ask me these questions? You start.
I actually think
tip.
this was
A
Becca's
tip.
idea in the first place to
No,
have a tip.
Well, we may
Well,
have been, but
I
I
think
think,
we
my
should
idea
have-
was you have a tip.
We should have security cameras so our tires don't get slashed.
Well, that's true.
Someone's been slashing
Somebody's
tires.
been doing it.
Someone's being a little bit of a pill in the neighborhood lately. Let's see. Well, my tip is
Okay, you got one.
put a t-shirt on your dog to really help her.
good.
Yeah. Guys,
I'm coming.
how are we
think-
so short?
I've already done my tip about the water bottles to plant seeds in. I'm doing that, and last time I described it on the podcast, I don't feel like anyone understood what I meant, but I'm doing it again this year, and I stand by it as a good way of starting seeds because you don't have to perpetually water them. So let me see if I can do this one more time. I think this was like 2 years ago, and I did not give everyone the sense of it before. Get a plastic water bottle, like a single serving water bottle, cut it in half.
True. I got you.
Take the lid off, throw that away. Now you have a water bottle in 2 pieces.
and a funnel. You basically have a cup and a funnel.
You have a cup and you have a funnel. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Cut little strips of fabric, like a square of fabric, that you poke down inside the nozzle from the inside, so it kind of sticks out the bottom, and that forms a wick, basically. And then you fill it up with dirt. So you have the top, the funnel portion. You plug the bottom of the funnel with fabric, sticking out a little bit, and then you fill it with dirt, and then you plant your seed there. And then the bottom cup half, you put water in it, and then you set the top inside, and the wick sucks the moisture up into the dirt and keeps it in a nice damp
Wow.
thing. And then you only have to refill the bottom with a pitcher or something every week, and it's fine. And you don't have to fiddle around washing your seeds away by pouring water
Where
on
do
the
you
top.
store all these things?
I have a shelf with some grow lights
Oh,
upstairs.
that's it. That would be nice.
And so I have a random bunch of artichokes and beets and butter lettuce
Fun.
and
Yeah, that is fun.
what's the other thing I
I
planted?
thought of-
Something.
I thought of a tip, which is a good old reliable recipe source is King Arthur flour. But one thing that I like them for lots of things. But their braided lemon bread is really
Yeah.
good. I made it. You had
Yeah,
it
I had
recently.
some. Yum.
It's a yeast bread, but with a cream cheese filling and lemon curd
I ate
in
some
it,
of that.
and it's
it was
braided.
good.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
it's very different. It's not a pastry, but it's beautiful, and it is. And one thing I
Really
learned,
yummy.
One thing I learned in that recipe was to double stack a cookie sheet to keep the bottom from scorching. You just insulate it with extra cookie sheets. which I thought
It
was
doesn't have
interesting.
like coarse sugar or something on top.
Yeah, I actually ordered pearl sugar because it's that pearl sugar, but the last time I did, I used that raw sugar, just like a bigger crystal of sugar.
It was
but
good.
it's like an interesting, beautiful bread that is well worth having in your.
Well, it's almost time to plant your wheatgrass if you want to do that for Easter.
yeah.
Easter,
And
yeah,
I
that's always
planted
fun.
some a couple weeks ago, so mine is about 5 inches
Mom,
tall.
you should tell your tip about the snowdrops. Was that maybe we should have that another
so
time? It's so
cute.
cute.
Well, it's just where we're living at my father-in-law's house. Out in front, it's an old house. Out in front is maybe 6 or 8 feet of little snowdrops that pop up
I love
as
the
soon as the
snowdrops.
snow
I
is
love
out
them,
of the
and
way.
Grandma Betsy always loved them. So
Oh yeah, so I
love
call
them for all the
Grandma
reasons.
Betsy's
Yeah.
snowdrops, and they're thick. They're really, really thick. But out in the middle of the yard are the little ones I call missionaries who are out there all by themselves.
They're like little.
But that's Grandpa calling your dad.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Nice.
And so the little missionaries are out there all alone out in the middle.
I know,
of the
but
yard.
I love the ones that have a trail behind
And some of them have
Yeah.
a little single file line
Yeah, I
coming
love it.
out.
Like
to
they've
join
gone
them.
marching out into
But
the world to spread the
it's-
good news of spring.
It
They're
is
marching
so
to Zion.
Yeah, they totally
it.
are.
And
I
if
love
you
it.
plant a few of those, they multiply.
Yeah,
So that,
love
but part of the thing you have to say that makes that so poignant is that this house is really the old missionary's house.
It
Like
is.
having the little
It is.
missionary snowdrops
I know.
is a very symbolic
Yeah.
situation going
this
on
is
here.
the house where, people
Yeah.
just drop in and ask if there's anyone that can drive them to the post office.
Yeah. People
Or they come by
basically
for
ring-
Bibles in other languages,
Yeah.
or
They
the
come
bitterness
by-
Just
booklet.
ring
come
the
by
bell
for
to
free
say,
lit.
"What must I do to be saved?"
Yeah, that's
They intuit that
I
this is
felt
where
like I'd really for sure grown into Grandpa's likeness when I went on a trip and I gave a book away to someone
Yeah.
next to me in the seat on my way there, and I gave a book away on my way back, and I thought, it's just
Turning
happening.
into
It's just
Grandpa.
happening. Yeah.
true.
All right. Well, thank you all
Thanks
for.
including
Yes.
me
Mom, it was
tonight.
fun. I'm
It's
glad
fun.
that you
do
could
it
be here.
All right.
Yep.
Out of the
Until
car.
next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.
You think of yourself now, and then in 4 years' time, what do you want yourself to look like? And is the education that you're considering going to help you get to that place?
When you're a student, you want to become like your teacher. You're going to become like your teacher. Looking at NSA beforehand, I knew I wanted to become like the men who are teaching here.
Fireman, husband, father, doctor, no matter where you want to go, NSA is just such good preparation for the person that you want to be.
If you want to be an effective Christian, you need to be able to lead and shape culture. If you want to do that, no matter what your occupation is, you need to shape yourself, prepare yourself as a person for that job. And liberal arts is, I think, the best education you can have for that.
To learn more, check us out online at nsa.edu.